We are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome back the amazing Kimberly Belle here to tell us about her brand new red hot book, My Darling Husband. Kimberly, welcome back. Tell us about this book.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. So My Darling Husband is the story of a woman named Jade. She is a stay-at-home mother, 2 kids. Her husband owns a string of restaurants in the Atlanta area. And she's coming home with her kids one day, and in the chaos of getting them out of the car, they're arguing on the back seat. She does not see the man in the shadows of the garage, and he's wearing a mask and holding a gun, and he forces his way inside the home and basically holds her for ransom, demands that she call her husband Cam, and ask him to come home, or basically demand that he comes home with a crazy high amount of money, $734,000 and some change. It's a very specific number. And so while he's racing around town trying to pull this money together, she is becoming more and more certain that maybe this wasn't such a random home invasion, that this man might know more about her and her husband than he is saying.
Well, Kimberly Belle, you hooked us good, as you do so well with book after book after book, just turning out the bestsellers. And I can't wait to get into every single dirty detail. And we are. But first, I just want to welcome everyone. We are streaming to 6 different destinations now across Facebook and YouTube. So no matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. If you've been here before, you know how it works. This is your time to talk to this amazing author. So ask the internationally best-selling Kimberly Belle anything you want about her writing process, about her characters, about maybe some secrets she's never shared before. What secrets you hide in, Kimberly? This is your time. Get them going in the questions. They're already coming in. Anissa saying hello, Sara and Kimberly from South Carolina. Anissa, welcome. She's a bookstagrammer doing big things with friends in fiction. Leslie saying hello from Canada. Leslie, welcome to the conversation. Susan saying hello from Nashville.
Susan. Hi, Susan. I recognize that name.
Yay! Leslie says she is so excited for this. If you're watching from a private Facebook group, you have to enable privacy to let us see your picture, but no worries. You can be on brand and stay mysterious. Darla saying, good afternoon. Sounds like an incredibly interesting book. Anissa saying she just started listening to it.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Somebody else pre-ordered their copy. It's coming tomorrow. Hello from another friend watching from Facebook. Tara saying, thank you. Sherry saying hello from Ohio. Welcome, everybody. We're so happy to have you. Kimberly, let's get into it. So you are dealing with this couple, Jade and Cam. He's got a restaurant. He's got some secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Start kicking off with this nightmare, this terror. I mean, I think we all fear a home invasion. Let's start there. What made you think of this terrifying idea?
Well, I think it's one of those things that everyone is terrified of, right? I mean, I know I have thought through those scenarios multiple times, and you asked me before about my little secrets. It's not really a secret, but I kind of modeled this home on a house that my husband and my family used to live in. So I knew the footprint very well, and that little place from the garage, it's a detached garage, to the back door, I always, when it was dark, I'd be like, who's back here? So it was something that was, kind of front of mind, one of those secret fears kind of in my head. But then when I started, thinking about, okay, what's my next story going to be about? I had proposed a bunch of other ideas to my editor, and I kept getting shot down for all sorts of different reasons. And so at one point I kind of flipped it back to her and I said, well, what kind of stories would you like to see? Because every editor I've ever worked with and known has a list of books that they would like to see. And so she sent me a list of probably 5 or 7 things. And one of them was a mother protecting her home and her family from danger. And as soon as she said that, with, all the other fears in my head, the story just kind of plopped into my head and I started working it out. So Yeah, it's kind of a combination of my deepest, darkest fears and my agent or my editor, putting that bug in my ear.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Thanks for spilling the secret, spilling the tea, as the cool kids say, Kimberly, letting us know where this crazy idea came from. I know I 100% relate to the fear of a masked stranger hiding in the shadows, jumping out, taking me captive, holding me for hostage.
Mhm.
It is so relatable.
Mhm.
Thank you for that inside scoop. Leach is saying hi from Texas. Leacha, welcome to the conversation. Always a pleasure to have you, ma'am. Welcome, Paola. I hope I'm saying that right. Welcome, Carrie. Welcome, Tara. Welcome, Sherry. So great to have you all. Thank you so much. Now, Kimberly, this book is already racking up all the praise. So let's get into that. Shondaland raving that this is a twisty thriller and a race against the clock told from various points of view, including the captors. Why did you want to include the captor? What made you think of that?
Well, so without giving too much of the story away, the captor, his name is Sebastian. We find that out throughout the story. I really, he's a villain for sure, right? He's coming in this home. He's bringing a loaded gun with these two small children. They're 7 and 9. And so he's holding them ransom for a huge sum of money. So he's automatically a villain. But the deeper we get into the story, and because I'm telling it from his point of view, at least in pieces and parts, we get to learn and understand why he's doing this. And, like I said, a villain does something bad, but he has valid reasons to do this. And I wanted to kind of hold that up to Cam, who, is really just trying, and Jay too. And they all kind of have the same motivations, and that's to protect the people that they love the most.
Protecting the people we love the most. So relatable and such a heartfelt, visceral desire. I love that. Leach is saying she's heard a lot of very good things about My Darling Husband, and she is very much looking forward to reading it. Susan saying the children in the story made it so real. I read it a month ago, and she's still thinking about it.
Well, thank you.
Susan, tell us what parts you're still thinking about without any spoilers. What hooked you into the story? What do you love about Kimberly's writing? I know what I love, but tell me what you love. I love the backstories. I love the complex stories. And Kimberly, one thing that I've noticed, a theme across all of your books, is this idea of the secrets that we each hold in a marriage, which I'm fascinated by. The person that you show as ourselves to our partners, and the part that we hide, the things from the past that we hide. Why do you write about this? What fascinates you about that?
I don't know, and I do try to come up with ideas for stories that aren't necessarily a marriage, because just domestic suspense, which is officially my genre. It doesn't have to be a husband and wife, but I tend to gravitate to those stories because I think a couple of reasons. And by the way, I've been happily married for a very long time, so it's nothing really weird. But
Kimberly's next book stars a wife who murders her husband. Kimberly's husband starts eating real nervous at the table.
Right? Giving me the side eye. But I think even if you're not married, it's something that's very relatable. Everybody knows what a marriage entails, right? And sharing a life and a bed and everything with this person, especially when you have kids, you're really connected to this person in a way that even if you're not married, I think you can understand. So when there's some sort of secret or some sort of betrayal, it hits really, really hard. And, I'm kind of fascinated with, and my stories all kind of explore this, and this one too, like, where's the line? Where do you say, okay, I can't be with this person anymore? Where do you say, well, okay, what you did is wrong and it hurt me, but I can forgive that. It's something that I think just keeps coming back in my head because it's just so, there's so many ways a story could go. So I do tend to gravitate to the husband-wife themes.
Yeah, because As someone who's also been married for a long time, marriage is hard,
Yeah.
and it's interesting to negotiate a partnership and to negotiate the daily living of that partnership, especially over the long term, as you both change and grow, and it is a fascinating subject matter. Okay,
Mhm.
so many great questions coming in. Susan would like to know, sorry, Anissa would like to know, have you ever uncovered anything in research that you were reluctant to put in a book as
Mhm.
it was just too scary, too much? Now you run the Killer Author Club, so we're guessing you know some scary stuff.
I'm trying to remember research wise if there was anything, but there are things that I will kind of shy away from. I have two kids in this story, and that's always kind of, you have to walk a fine line with that. How much danger you're going to put them in, how much, if you're going to hurt them physically in some way in the story. So there are definitely places that I wouldn't go. I'm not sure it ever came out of research. I think it's more just like things that I wouldn't, uh, yeah, it would be too scary for me, so I wouldn't put it in a book.
And what is it? Is it the violence, the idea of violence against children? Is that where you draw this line, Kimberly?
Yeah, and I mean, for people who've read this book and even if you haven't and you hear what it's about, you probably think these children are in grave danger, and they are.
Yeah.
But I'm very careful with it. And another thing I did in this book is I gave these kids, especially the older one, the 9-year-old, she's a girl. I gave her, some control over her destiny, and I made her really smart and made her maybe a little too brave. She takes some risks. But that's really part of the story, in that for Jade, it's super scary, right? If you see your daughter taking these risks and you're not in control, you can't help her. But also for the reader, it's fun to see this kid stand up for herself and do these things that, ultimately kind of, she's definitely a little too brave in parts.
And did you send that as a message to your kids? Like, you can be brave, or just to yourself, like, my kids could be brave in this?
Yeah. My kids are big and grown, so I don't know if I could have written this book when they were that age.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, they're big and grown, but I do like writing characters, my main characters, and in this case, these children, especially the daughter, who maybe don't realize how brave they are until they're put in a position where they have to save themselves. Those are the kind of characters I like to read, and so those are the characters that I like to write as well.
Oh, I love that. Richa would like to know, what inspired you to write this book?
Terror. A deadline? No. Yeah, I talked about, kind of, my editor planted the story in my head. But, I live for much of the year in Atlanta. And unfortunately, it's something that we hear a lot on the news, these home invasions. And I actually even kind of know someone that the detail about the money came from a home invasion that happened in Atlanta. Another, wife coming home with two kids. They took her in the house. It was actually two kidnappers in this case, but they also demanded a very strange, specific amount of money. And it turns out that was from a bank statement they had pulled from the mailbox. So lesson number one, lock your mailboxes. If you have a traditional mailbox, make sure there's a lock on it. Maybe have your bank send you emails instead of paper statements. But yeah, so it's unfortunately something that happens a lot in the real world in which I live. And so yeah. And super scary.
Wow, that is fascinating to know that that's from a true that was inspired by a true story. How
Yeah.
bizarre, and also
Yeah.
absolutely terrifying.
And what I liked about that detail too is that, it automatically says that these people know something about these people, right? That the kidnappers know something about this family. They knew how much money they had in the bank account. So automatically the reader is clued in, even if Jade, my main character, doesn't quite know it yet. The reader knows that there's something going on that that Sebastian knows a little bit too much about this family.
Ooh, okay, okay. And I just want to say, Nikki Miracle, who is a book reviewer, is watching with us as well. Nikki, welcome to the conversation. And so is Nancy Murrow Wren. Nancy, a fabulous book reviewer. Welcome to the conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in. Nancy says she has pre-ordered the copy. It's going to be shipped to her tomorrow. Leisha says this is a very good topic. Who knows what's really going on behind closed doors?
Yep.
Christine, welcome to the conversation. She said, this is my book club pick when it comes out. Yay! Wonderful. Christine, let us know what your book club thinks about it. We love to continue the conversation over in Mystery and Thriller Ravens, the Facebook group, and we dish the good stuff over there. So I'm going to pop the link in the comments. So everyone come join there, read the book, let us know what you think. I want to remind everybody that the paperback book comes out tomorrow. So I'm popping the link in the comments right now. So pre-order the paperback, and the good folks at Murder by the Book will send you your copy tomorrow. Pick it for your book club. Let us know what you think. We can't wait to continue the conversation. Christine is saying hello from Texas. Christine, it's so great to have you. Thank you. And we're supporting Texas-owned, woman-owned bookstore today. Anissa says, thank you for answering her question. Anissa, always so great to have you. Leisha says, thank you for answering her question. Oh, hello. Stephanie Cooper, Books to Grammar Extraordinaire, Fire Pit and Books, joining us. She says, hello, Sara and Kimberly, joining the conversation from California. Stephanie, welcome. She said she loves this book. It was her first book by Ms. Belle, and now she wants to read the rest. Kimberly has a fabulous book backlist, so definitely check those out. Kimberly, I know it's hard to pick because you have to pick your favorite baby, but do you feel this is your best book yet, your best work yet?
I don't, it's hard for me to pick a book that I love or think is the best book. It is like kind of picking, your children, your favorite child, which I will never do. But this book came out really fast and easily for me, which is not always the case. I think partly because it is so high intensity, and the pacing is just like really fast. And so maybe that made me write it really fast, because there was something always going on. But I also started writing this book in probably around March of 2020. And I don't know what you guys were doing in March of 2020, but I was stuck in a house washing my groceries and, hiding from the virus. So for me, it was also a really nice relief to kind of escape to, this fictional world, as terrifying as it was, and just, not think about all the scary stuff that was going on outside my doors. So, like I said, it's hard for me to choose a favorite, but I do love this book because it was so a quick and easy writing project for me. So it always makes me think back fondly on it for sure.
Well, fortunately for anybody, so my favorite thing about doing this show is connecting readers to their favorite authors and introducing them to their next favorite writers. So in case you haven't read Kimberly's previous fabulous books, I'm popping her backlist in the comments right now. So a backlist means all her previous books. You can grab so many great ones. Stranger in the Lake, I loved that one. The Marriage Lie, again, dealing with secrets and marriages, although Stranger in the Lake also dealing with Kimberly's favorite topic, secrets and marriages. So many great ones. So grab it there, y'all. The paperback of this one is out tomorrow. Leisha's saying this is great. She only reads paperbacks. Paperbacks are so great, right? Because they're not straining your wrist.
Right?
Anissa would like to know, are all of your books standalone? If yes, is there one that you would ever want to write a sequel to? Cool question.
Yes, they are all standalones. As for a sequel, I don't know about a sequel. I think if I were ever going to pick up a story and write another part to it, it might be The Marriage Lie, but it might be a prequel. Just because, and if you've read The Marriage Lie, it kind of ends on a note that could go all sorts of ways. And I really like that because I like that readers get to kind of decide which way they want it to go. But I think there's a lot of meat, a story meat in, what happens before then, how Will and Iris became the people that they are, especially Will. He has a really interesting story to tell, I think. So I'm not saying I would ever do it, but I also say never say never. So
this is fascinating. So I read The Marriage Lie. I loved it because it's so for those who haven't read it, it's about a woman deeply in love with her husband. He gets on a plane. The plane goes down. Then she finds out he was not on that plane, and she starts to unravel the secrets of his life. But it's not the story you think it's going to be, and I promise you that. So Anissa, thank you for the great question. Stephanie's also saying thank you. She would love to know how they made their start. She said it's a great question, Anissa. Thank you. For asking that, we're all thanking you. And Kimberly saying she would love to know how Will and Iris made their start. Darla saying, Kimberly, you have a very quiet in the background. Tell us about this little baby.
That's Daisy. She's taking a nap. She is a Cavalier King Charles Cavalier. Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
Oh, yeah.
She always steals the show.
Well, I think we all want to know how Iris and Will got their start. They are such an interesting couple. Darla saying another great author. She's excited to be introduced to. Her books sound quite captivating. Oh, they are captivating, Darla. So I popped her Kimberly's backlist in the comments. So go ahead and grab those and the current one as well. My Darling Husband out tomorrow in paperback, y'all. Oh, Kimberly's saying she did read that one. Oh, sorry, Stephanie is saying she did read that one, Kimberly. So yay, it's so great. Christine says she's going to add The Marriage Lie to my order. Thank you, Murder by the Book. Christine, thank you for supporting Murder by the Book. Sharon, welcome to the conversation. She says she highly recommends My Darling Husband. Yay. So just so everyone understands how some people have read it. So Kimberly, your audiobook and your hardcover came out in December, and then due to the pandemic and some supply chain issues, your paperback's out tomorrow. How's that been for you?
Kind of weird, actually. I've never had that before, the split date, and it was a little confusing at first, I think, for people. But because, like you said, the hardback was out end of December, along with the E and the audiobooks. So, but I can't remember who said it, Leisha. A lot of people really do love a paperback copy, and so been holding out for that one.
Well, thank you for joining us. So just to let everyone know, so if you want the hardcover, the ebook, or the audio, that's out now. And if you want the paperback, I know I love a paperback, that's out tomorrow. So you order it today, and the good folks at Murder by the Book will send it to you tomorrow, so you can dive right in. Leisha saying Daisy is such a cutie. Anissa voting for a prequel to The Marriage Lie. I'm here for it. I am also here for it, Anissa. You and me will have a little book club. Leslie saying we've had the paper book for weeks here in Canada. Okay, I didn't know that. Well, you're ahead of us in many ways.
The Canadian paperback came out earlier than all the other books. I know, it's just publishing. Crazy, right? I know. Every publisher on the planet is dealing with these issues right now.
Exactly. We're all doing the best we can. Susan saying she listened to it on Audible, which makes it even creepier. I have a 6-year-old grandson who's my sidekick. My grandchildren are my heart. This would be my worst nightmare. Kimberly, did you get to pick the voice or have any input into the voice of who narrated? Tell us about that.
So I usually get a list from my editor of, and so this, because there are 3 points of view in this particular book, I get 3 lists of potential narrators. And I usually give my, first, second, third pick. And then they go back to the drawing board and see who's available and who wants to do it. And so I think I got my first pick on all but maybe 1 this time. Usually I get, who I want or the next person. Yeah.
And so when you heard those voices, you were like, yep, that's Sebastian. Yep, that's you. That's Cam. Or you just know it in your heart, or?
Yeah. It's weird though, because, I'm a very visual. I'm not usually that auditory. So I do have to sleep on it for a night or 2. It's very hard for me to pick out voices. But, because all my books are set in the South, They also have to have a little bit of a Southern twang. But, I don't want them to sound like Scarlett O'Hara at the same time. So there's a fine line to walk in there. Not Scarlett O'Hara, not Deliverance, somewhere in between.
But how does the audition process work? Do they read a section of that? Like, did the person who reads for Sebastian, is he then reading the Sebastian chapter, or you're just listening to him read the weather report and you have to imagine him reading?
I usually get him reading, because they're all actors who do this for a living, right? And so I'll get like a link to one of their other books. They're all, on Audible or wherever it is that they're selling their audiobooks. So it'll be them reading a different person's book, basically.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, Kimberly, the rave reviews just keep pouring in. Congratulations on all of this praise, which you have earned. Good Morning America raving about this, calling it a breakneck pace. I just popped the full review in the comments for anyone who wants to read it. But Jocelyn Jackson also raving about this. Jocelyn was on the show when her last book came out. Hannah Mary McKinnon. I mean, they just keep coming in. Everyone is loving this book, which is so, so exciting. All right, everybody, we have 5 minutes left. So get your last questions going for Kimberly Belle right there in the comments, and we'll get them over to her. While you're thinking of them, I will pop in Publishers Weekly's rave review as well. They are calling this a captivating thriller. And Kimberly, let's talk about that from a craft perspective. How do you captivate readers? What do you think the secret is?
Good question. Do you know the answer?
No, that's why I'm asking.
I think part of it is, presenting a story that, and these are the kind of stories that I like to write, that could happen to anyone. It could happen to you, could happen to me. It's not so outlandish that, it seems completely fictional. I mean, it's a story that you hear about in the real world, unfortunately. And then, putting the children in that position also helps to draw in the reader, because then you're automatically rooting for them, right? I mean, who doesn't root for the kids? We want them to be okay, right? Yeah, so I think it's also, presenting your main characters as, people that you want to succeed. You want them to get out of this alive, and giving them, making your reader like them. Maybe not totally agree with everything that they're doing, but at least like them and want them to succeed.
Ooh, I love that answer, Kimberly. Thoughtful as always. Okay, I thank you guys for the questions. I'm going to get to every single one of them. Stephanie Cooper would like to know, I went into this completely blind and I loved it that way. I had no clue what to expect. Kimberly, do you know what to expect? More writing, do you plot, or do you just go where the story follows?
No, I plot everything out. And I literally stare at lots of walls and, think through my story for many, many weeks before I write the very first word. And part of it is that I have to get my editor's input. That's part of my pitch, basically, for a story, is that I give them a chapter by chapter outline. And, by the time I'm done, it can be sometimes a 20-page outline. So, I'm really thinking through my story and getting it in my head. And then when I sit down to write, I know exactly what I'm supposed to be writing every day when I sit down, which is a nice thing. I know that there are lots of authors that do it, differently, and that just sit down and see where the story takes them. But I would write myself into way too many corners that way.
Yeah, I've always wondered how they don't, because I would be down a dead end in about 30 seconds and then just spinning my wheels. Leisha would like to know, what was your favorite book when you were a child?
Like child, the first book that I remember falling completely in love with is Charlotte's Web.
Oh, Charlotte's Web. Yay, I love that. Sharon would like to know, was it hard to write a book that basically takes place in one place, or was that easier? Great question, Sharon.
It wasn't hard in this particular case. I think it might be in other ways, but because I had Cam's chapters in there, and Cam is running all over town trying to pull together the money. So that, takes place, of course, outside of the house. And then I had Sebastian, which we were getting a little deeper into his motivations and, reasons for choosing Jade and the kids and Cam. So that kind of, I think, broke it up. But I think writing a book in one place, like a locked door mystery kind of thing, must be really hard otherwise.
Interesting. I have no idea because I've never, that is an interesting question.
Yeah.
Christine saying she just placed her order for 3 of
sweet.
your books.
Thank
Yes,
you.
she cannot wait. Christine, thank you for shopping Indie, for supporting a woman-owned Indie. Thank you for supporting our favorite bookstore, Murder by the Book. That's amazing. You're amazing, and we can't wait to hear what you think. Leach is saying she loves reading books with twists and turns that are page turners. Let's talk about how you did that. So you're sitting there for weeks, you plot out your 20-page thing, your 20-page outline, and then do you go back and think, there's just not enough twists? Or do you ever think, my God, there's too many, you got to take some out? How do you insert the twists and know where to put them?
Yeah. So the twists, most of the twists are already in my outline, and hardly ever does anything change in my outline. Like, chapters might get shuffled around a little bit, but you know what? I go in thinking, okay, at 25%, there's going to be something big that happens, 50%, 75%, and then the end. And then I just kind of fill in from there. But what did come with this particular book, I start out with Cam being interviewed after this whole ordeal is over. He's doing a sit-down television interview. And those chapters were something that I came in at the very end. They weren't in my outline, but I finished the book and I was like, it just needs just a little something more. And so I thought, okay, well, we'll have Cam being interviewed. So we know that he survived, but we don't know anything else. And we're learning kind of Cam's secrets through this interview, and the things that he was keeping from his wife, Jade.
Because that's an interesting thing to add. I would never think of that, to think of this, to think of the idea of doing an interview and so that that he lives, but you don't know, that was really interesting. And I love knowing that you added that in later.
Yeah. And that's the only twist that wasn't in the outline.
Okay. Stephanie saying there is no such thing as too many twists.
Agreed.
I mean, right? That's what we're here for. I love that. Leach is saying Charlotte's Web is also one of her favorite books. Thank you again for answering her questions. Anissa saying, thank you, ladies. Fascinating chat. Can't wait to dive deeper into the book later today. Anissa, keep us posted on what you think. Looking forward to that. All right, y'all, we are out of time. Thank you so much for spending your lunch break with us. Thank you for tuning in, your afternoon break. Kimberly Belle, best-selling author, thank you for coming back. So Kimberly was one of the very, very first authors to come on this right when I launched this series. And what a pleasure and an honor and a delight to have you back 2 years later, Queen.
I know. Well, thank you for having me. This is fun.
Yay. All right, everybody. I just want to remind you to grab your copy of the book. It's out tomorrow. I'm going to pop it in the link one more time. Grab your paperback copy. I'm popping it in right here. Order this book. Get it for your book club. Stephanie saying, thank you. Thank you for joining us, ma'am. And I will see y'all tonight with Sara Pekkanen, Greer Hendricks, and the incredible Kelly Garrett. See you soon. Oh, thank you, ladies. Christine saying, thank you, ladies. What a fun event. Christine, thanks for joining us. Leisha saying, thank you so much for this awesome live chat. I enjoyed it. You ladies have a great day. Stay safe. You too, Leisha. Leslie saying, thank you. Y'all, thank you so much for this. You are my favorite. Thank you for being here. And I will see you tonight for #Mystery Monday, because Mondays can be murder. Sharon saying, great interview with Susan. Kimberly is the best. She's the only thrillers she reads.
Oh, sweet.
Those are #goals right there, Kimberly.
Right.
All right, y'all. Have a great day.